Just before we get to some of the other topics, I went to that Flex Road thing, and they are going to have major construction on the Borman for 3.5 years. How's that going to affect Hammond?
Well, I mean, obviously, anytime they work on the Borman, it affects Hammond greatly because all the traffic that avoids the Borman ends up traveling through our city on roads like 173rd, 165th, 169th. I know it affects Munster and Highland in the same manner on Ridge Road, Gary, I guess, as well. So anytime that's happening, I got the packet. I didn't go to the presentation like you did, but I got the packet, and it's interesting what they're doing. They're going to have certain lanes that are flex. They can go both directions depending on the flow of traffic, and they also have status boards above each lane so that if there's a wreck, they can tell you way before you get there to move lanes and stuff like that. It looks like a pretty big expansion. And it also, this whole debate about toll roads, Jim, that's what I was thinking about when I got that packet. I was looking at how easy it would be to convert that into a toll road, the way they're making all the signs above the lane and all that. They could easily turn that into, the tolling where it just hits you as you drive underneath it, if they're going that direction.
Well, they had roughly, 12 people from NDOT there, and one of the tow trucks, I think it was the guy from WAFCO Towing, said, well, it looks like you could just hang something there and toll everybody. And the head of it, and the head of it said, we're not going to talk about that. We don't want to go that. And then everybody in the whole crowd said the same thing. It's
That's
like,
crazy. I said the same thing.
All you're doing is you're making this a toll road. You could easily just toll everybody now that you...
That's crazy. You had the same thought. I'm glad to hear that, because as soon as I got it, I'm like, they're definitely turning the Borman into a toll road. If the way they're doing this looks exactly like the toll plaza you drive underneath.
So it is it's one every half mile from 394 to I-65. And they gave the dimensions. It's basically like a guaranteed rate billboard every half mile. Right. So they're like, when you're looking at the one in front of you, you'll be able to see the next one and the next one. And they're massive, and each time they got to set one, they got to close the Borman. Wow. So that's at least 17 times. Can you imagine what your city's going to look like on 173rd?
They'll probably do it at like 10 o'clock in the morning, instead of 10
o'clock at night. It was a little late, so I think we're going to do it right now at 6:30. Yeah. Let's close the Borman.
Right,
but that is coming, and that will be something that we all have to deal with in terms of infrastructure. You've been dealing with some major infrastructure issues with the 8.2 inches of rain that came to the Robertsdale and North Hammond section. There is a lot of concern about the sheen that was on 121st. There's actually Munster last night was dealing with a sheen in the cobblestone area. What do you see happening in and around BP that affects the city of Hammond?
I have no idea how BP ended up having a problem during the flood. I don't understand how their plant works. Obviously we've been dealing with the damage and the flood in Hammond. I know that the BP is a totally separate issue that's affecting Whiting and to a certain extent Hammond neighborhoods as well. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert on what's going on with BP. It seems to me, though, from where I sit, that we've had 3 problems in a year, 3 massive BP problems that have affected the neighbors and affected the city and it's affected the region, so that's no good. But I'm not sure how having a flood relates to what happened at BP, if it relates at all. But obviously it compounded an already bad problem. We're sitting there trying to deal with flooding, and then all of a sudden BP starts smelling like it's about to go up in flames again.
Well, yeah, they basically had to burn everything off, which outside of the fact that everybody loses a ton of money and there's major danger, it's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see in the region when all the flares are lit at BP at nighttime as they were. So we got all this rain, and where was the worst part of flooding in Hammond?
Probably North Hammond again. North Hammond got it last time too. If you look at the pattern, it was really concentrated. First off, north of the Borman, Hammond, Whiting, East Chicago, Gary got it the worst. So you talk to Highland, Griffith, they didn't nearly get it as bad as we did. So it was a storm that stayed along the lake and went across. I was at Wrigley on the doubleheader. We were supposed to be at the second game, and it got called. And we went up, got to the game. It was a 7 o'clock game, and it started raining at that time. It was a monsoon in Chicago, and the storm was coming our way. So we drove home in a monsoon, and I got here about 10 minutes before the storm hit, and we knew because we'd just driven out of it. It's like we were going to get nailed in the region, and it was just as bad as it was in Chicago. And we got 5 inches of rain that night. 5 inches, Jim. I don't know if we got 5 inches of rain all summer. We got it overnight, and we had 3 inches. If you remember, we had a summer concert series on Saturday that got rained out. So it started raining on Saturday to Sunday, and we got 3 inches of rain there. So we were sopped already. So we get 8 inches of rain basically in 2 days. And obviously it led to catastrophe. It was just too much water. So we put out a post. I knew going to bed Monday night we were going to have problems. We were already flooding, and we had about 6 hours of rain in front of us still. So I was just like, I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm going to get my butt kicked tomorrow. That's not a word.
The mayor has a podcast called Left of Center Podcast. By the way, hold that wire for a second, will you? It's kind of rattling. There you go.
Sure.
And you can get it, and on the internet. And he can swear on that, and often does, like the sailor that he is. But we've trained each other well that when you walk through those doors,
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
You have never left an F-bomb here.
Last show I said a bad word. It was the S word, but
Yes.
I was like, that was the worst I've ever
Yes.
done on JED.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising because
I know.
in normal conversation,
Oh, yeah.
you may resort to vulgarities
Oh,
at
yeah.
times. I mean,
Often.
that is kind of learned on a ship or a submarine,
Yeah.
I'm sure, and it's hard to bring that out. But please
When I
don't
talk-
do it
No,
now
I agree,
because
I
I don't
agree.
want any fines.
But you know what?
Yeah.
When I talk to kids, I'm always good too. There's a switch in my head that gets turned off. But anyway, so I go to bed Monday night, and I knew it was going to be a bad day Tuesday. And when we woke up, the rain had finally stopped at that point. And I just immediately, I get fact sheets after every storm. I get fact sheets after a murder. I asked for the fact sheet that morning, and I got it, and it was devastating. And I basically just put it right out. I cleaned it up a little, put it out on social media. I think last time I checked, it was over 100,000 people saw that post, which is awesome. I love it when we get a good post like that because it was factual, and it said, hey, we did everything we could. Like, everybody was working, every pump was turned on, everything was operating at peak efficiency. It's like we had too much rain. It hit us all at once. We were already sopped. We got 5 inches overnight. We didn't have 5 inches all summer, and we get it on one day. You can't. By the way, if you look at that map also, Jim, keep in mind the Hammond Sanitary District that processes our rainwater, our communities are Whiting, Hammond, Highland, Munster, and Griffith. Almost everybody in our service territory got slammed by that storm. And all the water that's getting slammed into that service territory comes to one place, the Hammond Sanitary District. So we had the whole service territory get hit all at once. All that water comes rushing into Hammond, and our plant is sitting there. It's rated at 70 million gallons. It was doing 170 million gallons overnight, which is basically take the water, put it through our CSO basin on Columbia Avenue, and then ship it right into the river. And that's no good. We're not treating the water. We're literally just trying to get the solids out of the water. And it's better for us. It's a CSO event. We have to report that to the federal government. We have to report that to the state. But we said, fine, we're doing a CSO today. We dumped as much as we could into the CSO basin, and then it just flowed right into the river. So I wouldn't go swimming in Lake Michigan yesterday. I probably wouldn't even go swimming in Lake Michigan today because I'm sure it's might be getting back to normal by now. And if that was happening to us, Chicago was doing the same thing. East Chicago, Whiting overflowed into. That's another thing. Whiting has an overflow basin. This is beautiful, Jim. It overflowed, and I'm sure you heard this, and it blocked the CSX tracks in Whiting. It was literally, they couldn't get trains through. And this is one of the rare times I was really happy that they were calling us up. Hey, CSX is like, hey, we can't move our trains. You guys got to do something about that water. And we're like, we'll get to it. It's the first time in my life I've ever been able to tell a train, hey, relax, dude. We got things going on here, right? But
If you guys don't know the backstory, I think the
hate
mayor
that.
has come on the air and I think you've exhibited a lot of frustration with the train stopping in Hammond
Oh, yeah.
and not being able to address it because the trains are kind of written into the laws and they can do pretty much whatever they want across your community. But now they couldn't run that CSX train. So what do you want to tell the people of North Hammond?
Well, of Hammond is, if you look at what's going on in the world, these extreme weather events are happening. And we don't have fires in the region. We don't have hurricanes in the region. We get these intense storms, and they're too much for us to handle. It's too much for any plant to handle. That plant is fine. 70 million gallon plant, it works just fine. 364 out of 365 days a year. And then we'll get that storm that's 8 inches over 2 days. There's no plant. We could have had our plant's 70 million gallons. Let's say we changed it to 100 million gallons, which is that's almost a 50% increase in capacity. If we change that plant to 100 million gallons, that would cost hundreds of millions of dollars for us to do that. And so let's say we did that. We made our plant 100 million gallons. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars. Hammond had to increase our rates for all of our customers massively to deal with this 50% increase in capacity at the plant. Let's say we did all that 10 years ago, and we were sitting here in that storm with a 100 million gallon plant. We'd have still flooded. We would have still flooded, Jim. We would have flooded bad. We had twice that coming at us. These storms you can't, when they hit us like they do, there's nothing we could do. We were literally bypassing the plant, dumping right into the river. That's a federal event. We have to record that with the Clean Water Act and with the federal government. So I flooded I guess it was a while ago now, probably a decade ago, in my basement. And I had a nice finished basement, and I lost everything in there, carpet and everything. I'd never rebuilt it. I was like, because I know, it's like, this is going to happen again. And thankfully, it hasn't happened since then with me, but I stopped developing my basement. And, we all grew up with finished basements, and everybody, that was an extra living room. You're taking a big chance nowadays with a finished basement. I don't care where you live. If you have a finished basement and we hit one of those storms, there's little that the municipality, there's little that the district can do to protect you, and that's just a fact, Jim. I mean, and there's things that you could do locally to help protect your house. You could put in the check valve. We have a program through the Hammond Sanitary District where they put a backflow preventer in your basement. I did not do that yet, believe it or not. It costs like $3,000, and that's usually what keeps people from doing it. But it's a check valve. For anybody that knows what a check valve is, it allows water only to go one way. You can't go. So if you put this check valve in your basement where the water backs up, the water could go into the system, but it can't get from the system into your basement. We have a program that helps people do this in their basement, and when they do it, fixes the problem, but it's $3,000. So a lot of people don't have that kind of money sitting there, and they're playing Russian roulette. I saw on the news last night one of my constituents with a beautiful finished basement, and he's like, everything was ruined. And it's horrifying for me. It's horrifying, but there's nothing we could have done to change that, Jim.
What about Hessville?
Hessville got it too. I mean, it was a spotty storm. We got it all over. But, I haven't seen the flood map from this one yet. We're still taking data. When I see the flood map on this one, you're not going to see it in one place, though. It's going to be scattered. Seems like it's concentrated in Robertsdale, North Hammond. There's a concentration up there, but it is definitely scattered across the city. This one was basically citywide.
So, is there basically nothing that can be done at this point if we get another rain like that? I mean, is there anything that we learned from this situation that we could apply to another 8-inch rain? Although, from what I understand, it hasn't rained 8 inches in like over 100 years in Robertsdale. But
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So one of these old timers sent me a thing of that was literally a 100-year rain. But are you confident that the infrastructure of the storm and the sanitary sewers can handle the water that could come to us? Or is it just if we get another 8-inch rain, it might happen again?
If we get another 8-inch rain, it probably will happen again, Jim. Okay? But we usually don't get 8-inch rains. We get 8-inch rains once every decade. But when it happens...
100 years from what the guy was showing me, yeah.
But yeah, okay, so let's go back to my analysis that said, okay, we're going to change our plant to 100 million gallons. Just looking at the plant, honestly, we've looked at how much water plants cost. So sanitary plants, if we want to increase our capacity by 30 million gallons, I don't know, it's at least 100 million. It's at least. If you were just doing maybe a separate plant that's 30 million gallons. So we have two plants right by each other, right? So let's say we spent 100 million just doing that. We'd also have to change the infrastructure because underneath the streets and across the 300 miles of roads, we have certain size diameter stormwater pipes. And if we need to make those larger across the entire city, how much does that cost, Jim? If we have 12-inch diameter pipes and it's limiting how much water we could accept, so we want to go to 18-inch across the entire city, I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars if we were going to do that, all right? And this plant's been there since, God knows when it was built.
I don't mean to geek out on the sewer part, but obviously as a laborer, that was what I did, was install those, mostly storm sewers, but sanitary sewers at times. And what I just remember digging up in Hammond is that a lot of it's very old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean you're carrying the water to a brand refurbished Hammond Sanitary District. My daughter worked there. I understand how well it works, and I went over before they filled up the big basin. I took a little tour of it.
Nice.
I'm kind of, I guess, into it a little bit. I played golf with Mark Grimmer the other day. That's all he does is sewers, and we talked about that. I just wonder if, in the end, is this something that we should learn from, or is it just we have to maybe not fix our basements up and understand that this? I mean, does it go back to the change in the climate?
Oh, no doubt about it. In my opinion, I mean but that's arguable too, because I'm sure there's certain listeners that would call in and say, "You're crazy, Mayor. There's nothing going on with the planet. You're just making that up." Okay? Because unfortunately, we're dealing with that kind of issue in America too. We can't even agree if the storms are worse. We can't even agree if things are changing weather pattern-wise, which is ridiculous. Because I'm 56 years old and I see it with my own eyes. Nothing empirical, but. So yeah, I think definitely the weather patterns are changing, and it's making our storms more intense, and we may have to have this debate in the Hammond Sanitary District one day if it becomes a common problem. We haven't flooded. I remember the last time we flooded real bad. I was at the Bears Tampa Bay game, and this sounds bad. Every time something bad happens, I'm at a sporting event apparently. But I was at Tampa Bay, and I got the phone call, "We're flooding, Mayor," and that's the worst phone call you can get. Because nobody's happy when it floods. Nobody. My wife would be mad at me if it floods. So everybody gets mad at the mayor. Everybody assumes we did something wrong. Everybody assumes you left a valve shut. Everybody assumes we forgot to turn on a pump. None of that is true, Jim.
Okay,
it's all automated.
That's actually kind of news, because all these people are like, "Hey, ask the mayor, the guy didn't turn the pumps on."
It's so ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing, and you hear it every storm, Jim. It's all automated. We're sitting ready right now, and the skies are perfectly clear. We're at the ready. If it suddenly rained 5 inches right now, we'd be ready with every valve open, every pump ready to go. That's how we sit, ready. You think we weren't ready when we knew a 5-inch storm was coming? Of course we were ready. We had everything working to 100% capacity. There's nothing we could have done.
So there's two things going on here, and this segment is mostly about water and about rain. One of the things is, it's odd that we're talking about water and excess water and rainwater, because at the same time, water is actually one of our biggest resources right now. In other words, too much water is obviously a problem for everybody, but water from the Hammond Water Department is really in demand from other communities.
Oh, yeah.
You're making decent money on it, and you can probably give it to more people if they build the pipes.
Well, yeah, we are facing a limitation problem. We're actually, in the summertime, we're tapped out. We have a little bit room left, and believe it or not, this is not talked about publicly. Crown Point and Hammond have been talking for the better part of a year now about if we could possibly get Hammond water down to Crown Point. And
that would change the city.
Oh, man.
Because that is one of the issues there.
Oh, yeah.
It is the main issue if you want to move to Crown Point.
I agree with you, Jim. The water, so in Hammond, you're paying about $2 for 1,000 gallons of water. In Crown Point, you're paying 5 times that. So their water bill would be $300-400 a month in Crown Point, just the water.
Does the infrastructure exist to send water to Crown Point, or you'd have to build some?
We'd have to build lift station, transfer stations, things like that, and we'd also be really close capacity-wise. So we're looking at things that we could do, and it's a real difficult problem, just if we could even get it there. And if we have enough capacity to bring them on, if all those things lined up, then we could talk about moving forward. But yeah, Crown Point, Mayor Land's a great mayor. He's been looking at ways to try to help his residents, so he came to me, and we're looking at it, because I think Crown Point and Hammond are like sister cities. Michigan City too. There's certain cities in the region I feel like Hammond is close to. Crown Point's definitely one of them to me. So is Michigan City. I love Mayor Angie. I love Michigan City. I think it's great. It reminds me a lot of Hammond,
So to concentrate on water, it's not just storm water. It's also selling drinking quality water. By the way, you know where I'm going tomorrow? I'm going to meet Dave Dabberton and swim off the Hammond Marina. He swims to the wall and back like most
You're
mornings.
Swimming with him?
Well, I'm not going to swim.
I'll go with you. I'm swimming in the triathlon on Sunday.
I'm not. Believe me, I already told him, I will go halfway and turn around.
Nice.
So I didn't realize that all the way inside that break wall, where the
You're talking Lake Michigan, right?
yeah, Lake Michigan.
Yeah, that's where Dave
I didn't
lives.
realize. He goes, well, it's
Yeah.
only about 3 feet deep.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not 3 feet deep everywhere
I should go out there.
in that basin. And I'm like, once you get close to the break wall, there's all sorts of rip currents. He goes, yeah, I get a little bit away from it and I turn around. I go, so you don't even stop and rest? He's like, no, I turn around and do this. So he talked me into it. I'm going to go halfway
awesome.
and turn around.
I didn't know you were a swimmer.
I'm not. I mean, I'm right here. The Hammond Y has kind of changed my, I guess, workout life because
Do you swim now?
I go there and swim. But
Dude, that's what I do.
part of the problem is, I mean, I go there early in the morning and I can get a lane. But if you go there any time after like 7, you're sharing a lane with some dude who's
Totally
like
sucks.
got bad eyesight and he's always bumping into you. I mean, it's a great thing. It's a little bit crowded, more than I would have ever expected.
Yeah.
But in a good way. They have the old. I got this on right now. The old people weights where you can do the circuit, and then and you can go swimming, but you kind of got to time it because there is so much demand. I don't know where all these people are coming from. All these kids are in there all summer. Luckily, school went back. Otherwise, the Y was almost unusable because
Patrick went back to Purdue yesterday.
So anyways, now let's talk about that. Do you have anything else you want to address about what happened in Hammond during these recent storms?
I think the most important thing I could have done yesterday morning, which is why we put it out, is explain to people that everything was working perfectly. We did everything the way we had to do it, and we just got way too much water. And you're going to have storms like that, unfortunately. And we had one. And when that happens, the water backs up, and it's unfortunate that it causes damage. I feel horrible. That's obviously the last thing we ever want to see. But when you just if you do 8 inches of rain across our entire service territory, it's hundreds of millions of gallons that came to Hammond all at once. And when you have that, it's like dumping a barrel full of water into a bathtub. It backs up.
One political question.
Sure.
Last night.
I'm not offended by political questions.
Just don't use the F-bomb when you start talking about it. The Texas legislature basically is approving gerrymandering to get 5 more Republican seats. It looks like the Republican Party wants the next stop to be Indiana, and specifically this district right here to turn this district from Democrat to Republican by redrawing the lines. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's cheating, but it is what it is. They could do it. It's illegal. You could do it. It's never been done before, but now we're doing it. It's no good for... I think what we need in D.C. and what we need in Indianapolis is more Republicans and Democrats working together instead of screwing each other over, and this just continues the game. It's not going to be any... Because California is sitting there ready to do it there, too. And then you'll have Illinois thinking about it, and they're going to gerrymander all the Republican reps out of those states. And then I think it's no good, but there's nothing we could do about it. It's not illegal. It's just unethical, in my opinion. I'm not, and you know what's funny, Jim? I think I said this to you last time I was here. I'm not on the roller coaster. This is what America voted for. I'm very content. I'm just sitting here in Hammond trying to do my job, and I'm not riding the national roller coaster. I'm not outraged. I'm not super mad every day. I'm just living my life right now because there's nothing you could do about it. So with me, I think Trump's a big jerk personally. I didn't say what I wanted to say. I think he's a big jerk, but there's nothing I could do about it. So I just sit in Hammond City Hall and I do my job, and I'm going to wait until the next elections. And when we have the next elections, I'm going to do what I do and try to change things. So,
what changed in you?
There's nothing you could do about it. I'm in therapy, which is nice. I think that helps. I think it helps me deal with the world differently. I've been doing it for about a year now. I think it helps a lot, and I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe it's me just getting older. I'm a grandpa now. Maybe it's just I just don't want to be outraged all the time. I see all my friends and all these people on social media, and they're just outraged. Everything's an outrage. The Republicans are outraged. The Democrats are outraged. I'm not outraged. I'm just sitting here running Hammond. I'm just trying to live my life, man. And then I'm going to be involved next time the elections come around, I promise you. But right now, there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm just trying to live life and be cool. Listen to the dead.
I mean,
You got me into the Dead big time, by the way. I was always into the Dead, but you got me bigger into the Dead by giving me tickets to an awesome Chicago concert. That was a long time ago. And
that was not a quid pro quo. That
No,
was
no, he
then
was-
he gave me tickets, so
Yes.
we were
I'm
even.
sorry,
on
I'm
it.
not
Yeah,
trying to bust you
yeah,
out.
but I did
Yeah.
I gave them to my Mike Forite.
Yes,
And
you gave it to Mike
and
Forite.
It's
Mike
a very interesting because I'm like, hey, Mike, how'd it go? Oh yeah, I took the mayor. Oh, okay, great. Where'd you park? I parked at 31st
Yeah,
Street.
dude.
We walked all the way in, and I'm like, I've done that.
Yeah.
But I get off at 31st and pull my bike out of the back
Yeah,
and then
that's
ride the
great.
bike in. I
That's
go,
smart.
do you know how far that
You
walk
park at
is?
31st? You have a... Yeah, because I
I
was
don't
talking
know.
about...
My wife knew somebody, and we had some sort of a sticker.
Well, you know, 4-8 used to have a place at 31st.
Yeah.
That's why he parked there, because we would park there because he had his boat there. But, 31st Street's a turnaround point for the run this weekend. I have to run from basically Grant Park to 31st Street, turn around, and then go back to Grant Park.
And how far is it? Is that the
6 miles.
No,
the end
that's
of
6
it.
miles. I ran the 13.1, the half marathon.
Ouch.
And that stretch when they close Lakeshore Drive, oh, this should be beautiful, but it's also the last stretch when you're not in that great a shape to run it. Hey, listen, I asked the mayor to come in, and we talked. He wanted to come in too and talk about the flooding that has been going on in parts of Hammond and parts of the entire Calumet region. Officially, the number was 8.2 inches in 24 hours. One guy sent me some stuff, and evidently that's some sort of record for Robertsdale. And a lot of people are hurting right now, and we understand that. But the news there is that the mayor is saying that, they did it wasn't like somebody forgot to put pumps on or that something was done wrong in the city of Hammond or city of Whiting or anything. It's just too much rain, and that sums up that whole thing. Anything else you want to mention?
I mean, no, obviously I feel horrible about what people are experiencing right now. I've experienced myself. Basement backups are no fun. You have to throw all your stuff away. It's just horrifying. It's horrifying for me as mayor. Anytime this happens, it's, anytime there's violent crime, it's a bad day. When there's a flood, it affects so many people. It's just the worst thing that could happen when you're the mayor. I just want you to know I feel horrible. We all feel horrible. But I'm also, there's nobody to blame. Mother Nature. That's who we have to blame. We have to deal with what she throws our way, and she threw a mess our way. So I'm really sorry about everything.
Let's end it right there. Thanks a lot for
man.
coming
Good to
in.
see you.